brought you a copy of The Hobbit that happens to be signed. This was a gift from a professor to my wife at the University of St. Thomas in Houston. I know it's a book that she treasures, mostly because of the relationship she had with the professor. She belonged to a philosophy club when she was going to college, and he was the mentor.
And when was
In the late 60s.
In the late 60s, she got the book. Okay. Have you read this?
We didn't read this book. We read other copies.
That was a brilliant move, that you actually preserved the book.
This is a first edition copy of The Hobbit, published in 1937. It comes with its original dust jacket, and the condition it is in after all these decades is almost impossible to believe. The spine is clean. The panels are intact. First edition books from this era almost never survive with their dust jackets. Right there on the half title page, signed in ink by the author himself, J.R.R. Tolkien. John Ronald Royal Tolkien was born in 1892 in Bloemfontein, South Africa, and grew up in England. He was not just a storyteller. He was a scholar, a linguist, and a professor of Anglo-Saxon at Oxford University. A man who spent his life studying the ancient languages and mythologies of the world, and then used everything he knew to build an entirely new one. He began writing The Hobbit not as a novel intended for publication, but as a story he told to his own children. He wrote it in private, refined it over years. When it was published in 1937 by George Allen in Unwin in London, it sold out its first print run within 3 months. It introduced the world to Bilbo Baggins, to hobbits, to dwarves, to dragons, and to a richly imagined universe that would eventually grow into The Lord of the Rings, one of the best-selling novels of all time.
Do you have an idea of what kind of value we're looking at?
I don't know.
So you've never gotten it appraised?
No, it's never been appraised.
The estimate at auction would be $80,000 to $120,000.
Oh, fantastic. Wow.
Brought in a partial Shakespeare First Folio that I've had for about 15 years, and it's been in my family since my great-grandfather acquired it earlier in the 20th century, I believe. He collected a lot of interesting things from all over the world, so this is just one of his interesting things that he brought home with him.
This is a partial Shakespeare First Folio, rebound in the late 1800s to early 1900s in a very nicely done but not original binding. It contains 176 pages out of what was originally over 400. There is no title. Some pages are missing. But what remains inside is extraordinary. The first part of Henry VI, the third part of Henry VI, Hamlet, and the final pages of Macbeth. 2 plays are completely intact. The text has never been trimmed. The borders are fully preserved. And what is sitting in front of you is a direct piece of the most important book in the English language. If the Bible is the most printed book in human history, the Shakespeare First Folio sits right beside it in the English language. William Shakespeare was born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. He began his career as an actor and playwright in London in the late 1580s and went on to write 37 plays and 154 sonnets that changed the course of literature, language, and human thought forever. Words and phrases that the entire world still uses today. Words like lonely, boredom, generous, and countless others were introduced to the English language by Shakespeare himself. He retired to Stratford around 1613 and passed away in 1616, leaving behind no collected editions of his work. It was not until 1623, 7 years after his death, that 2 of his fellow actors, John Heminges and Henry Condell, gathered his plays together and published what became known as the First Folio. Without that book, nearly half of Shakespeare's plays would have been lost forever. Scholars estimate that only around 235 copies of the First Folio survive today, scattered across libraries, institutions, and private collections around the world.
If this were to turn out to be a mixture of first and second editions, it's not going to make much difference. It might be 35 to 40 or 45. It's not going to make a big difference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really don't know a lot about it. My father's dad's mother was religious, and she evidently had this in her stuff, so it's basically been in the basement amongst her things for quite a while.
This is a familial inscription on the front face down.
Yeah, evidently she wrote that there. She inherited it from her father, and I didn't realize until we got here that it was 104 years old when she wrote it.
A long time.
This is the Bellow Falls hymnal of the LDS Church, printed in 1844. It carries a familial inscription on the front, written by the woman who once owned it. The pages have survived well over a century and a half, and what makes this copy so remarkable is not just its age. It is how few of them exist at all. Hymns written for the pulpit, songs meant to be sung until the pages fell apart, and then thrown away. That is exactly what happened to almost every copy of this hymnal ever printed. They were designed to be used in churches, passed from hand to hand, sung week after week. When they became worn and tattered, they were discarded and replaced with new ones. That is why surviving copies from this period are extraordinarily rare. Most of them are simply gone. And this is not just any hymnal. This is one of the earliest hymnals ever issued by the LDS Church, and the earliest to use musical notation alongside the words. The very first LDS hymnal was printed in 1835 by Emma Smith, wife of Joseph Smith, the founder and prophet of Mormonism. This 1844 edition follows directly in that tradition, placing it at the very beginning of one of the most significant religious movements in American history.
Do you have any idea of the value of the hymnal you brought to us today?
I have no clue. Absolutely none.
At retail, your hymnal would sell between $40,000 to $50,000.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I don't really know a whole lot about the book. I believe it's the first African-American beauty book.
How did you acquire the book?
A friend of mine, I'm a hairdresser, and he gave me the book. He thought I might enjoy it.
This is the first edition of the Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Manual, a textbook on the surface. But look closer, and what you are holding is something far more significant. This is the very first book ever published for hairstyling and beauty care for African American women. Around 100 years old, in very good condition, with a full line of hair care products displayed in the back pages. Products that were revolutionary at the time, and some of which are still relevant in beauty care today. This is not just a textbook. This is the beginning of an entire industry. Home remedies, hair care techniques, beauty products for African American women, written at a time when none of it existed anywhere else in print. The woman behind this book was Madam C.J. Walker, but she was not born Madam C.J. Walker. She was born Sarah Breedlove in 1867 on a Louisiana plantation. Her family were enslaved people, and Sarah was the first child in her family born into freedom after the Emancipation Proclamation. She came into the world with nothing. No wealth, no education, no safety net of any kind, and she built an empire. She developed her own line of hair care and beauty products specifically for African American women at a time when the beauty industry completely ignored them. She trained sales agents, built schools, and created a business network that spread across the country. The company she built still bears her name and still makes hair and facial products for African American women to this day. And according to the Guinness Book of World Records, Madam C.J. Walker became the first self-made female millionaire in American history. Born on a plantation in Louisiana, died one of the wealthiest self-made women in the world, and this book carries her name, her methods, and her legacy on every single page.
But in today's market, with the interest in early and important African American material, the first edition of this book is scarce enough that I believe that at retail, this book would sell for $10,000 plus.
$10,000? Are you serious?
I am serious.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Yard sales and garage sales, And I went to one in New York, where I'm originally from, and I found the books, and I seen they were signed. Inside one of the books, the inscription is to a gentleman named Gene. The lady told me that that was her uncle. And Mr. Gene, his friend was Mr. Langston Hughes.
And how much did you pay for them?
$1 a piece.
How long ago was it?
Over 20 years ago.
These are the 3 first edition books by Langston Hughes. The Big C, published in 1940, Simple Takes on a Wife, published in 1953, and I Wonder as I Wander, published in 1956. Each one is a signed first edition. 2 of them carry personal inscriptions, written directly to a man named John Shaw, a close friend of the author himself. The inscriptions are warm, clever, and deeply personal. One reads, "These are simple tales for John Shaw." Sincerely simple, not Hughes signing as himself, but as his beloved fictional character. Another reads, "My Second Life, 7 more to come, like a cat." Signed in New York, March 22nd, 1958. These are not just signed books. These are pieces of a friendship captured in ink on first editions that have survived over half a century. The man who signed these books was Langston Hughes, one of the most important and celebrated American writers of the 20th century. Born in 1902 in Joplin, Missouri, Hughes grew up moving between relatives across the Midwest before eventually finding his way to New York City and to the neighborhood that would define his legacy, Harlem. He was not just a writer, he was a poet, a novelist, a playwright, and a cultural architect. Along with Wallace Thurman, he co-founded Fire, a groundbreaking literary magazine that helped ignite the Harlem Renaissance, one of the most important cultural movements in American history. A movement that gave African American art, literature, and music a voice that the world could no longer ignore.
Do you have any idea how much your books are worth?
I looked online. The Simple Takes a Wife I couldn't find, but the other 2, they was like valued at maybe $200.
In my opinion, at retail, your 3, your 1 signed and your 2 inscribed, Langston Hughes first editions, are worth at retail between $8,000 to $10,000.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, that's amazing.